Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about Lars Mittank, who is a German national. He went missing in Bulgaria on July 8th of 2014 when he was last seen running from the Varna airport in Bulgaria. Okay, so what the first spread says to me is that there was some kind of disappointment or sadness surrounding like a shared goal, teamwork. The outcome of it was disappointing, right? So then we moved down to the Kipper with high honors, journey, main female, imprisonment, message of concern, great fortune, thoughts, main male, marriage, and poverty. So I did this reading like a year and a half to 2 years ago, and in that reading there was a lot of female energy, and it seemed like where that was taking me was, post the airport, because I did question, well, when he was on vacation, could he have had an interaction with a female there that could have been innocent and platonic, but maybe that female was attached to somebody, and so Lars may have been attacked, like stalked and attacked, because he was a foreigner, and maybe there was a perception that Lars was had this superiority over the locals, and there was an issue with the female because there was a lot of energy around that. And then as I did that reading, I could see that this, like what was coming out, could have only have taken place post the airport run, right? So what I got was that he likely ended up in a smaller area, like a small village or small city, and he was taken in and embraced, or like taken care of by like an older woman, and which he stayed there for some time. And that's the most that I remember from that reading. I didn't get a death card or anything like that for him then. So with this reading here, I find it interesting that there's a reference to marriage, a main female, and I don't get that this is his mom or his girlfriend that was back in Germany. I believe that this is surrounding something like a situation there regarding Bulgaria when he was there. So let's look at the next spread. So in this spread, we see with the top row, there was like a fearlessness and confronting a situation regarding a Queen of Pentacles and a King of Pentacles. Could have been him or somebody else being confrontational, defending the honor, or vying for some level of validity in a situation with a Queen of Pentacles as either the King of Pentacles, or going head to head with like a couple situation, like one person confronting a couple situation and being ambitious to persevere. So that's what I get from the first row. And then the second row, we have the Sun card, the Hierophant, Five of Cups, Eight of Wands, the Devil card, the Ace of Wands, and the Ace of Cups. And what I get from that is that there was a serious disappointment. Like there was a sudden disappointment and disenfranchisement with being inspired or in love with a situation, not necessarily a person, but kind of just being inspired. So there was a realization that the truth about a community grouping of people, with the Hierophant, there was a truth about the situation, like a belief system, a group of people that was disappointing, and it quickly, like I said, disenfranchised him emotionally in a way. It just became oppressive, with the Devil card, right? So disappointed with this oppressive cultural behavior or trait, realizing the truth of it quickly disenfranchised him with the Ace of Wands and the Ace of Cups. So then the bottom line, we have thoughts, community, occupation over community. That's like doctor, cop, somebody that has a position in the community. And then we have the Coffin card, wealthy man, family room, concern, and house. To me, that is some kind of community professional. That's what that's pointing to. So let's look at the next spread. So in this spread, we have the King of Pentacles again, we have the Knight of Swords again, and then we have the Five of Cups again. So I feel like what this says is that there probably was a male, a provider, who, is responsible for what happened to Lars. We see the Coffin card. That's an indication that he's no longer here. Then we have the True Crime cards beneath, right? So We have victim of a serial killer. This could be somebody that's gotten away with harming people. They don't have to be an actual serial killer, but somebody that's hurt, like harmed more than one person. You know what I mean? Or doesn't like tourists or something. You know what I mean? Just kind of like has a targeted group that they, but it doesn't have to be like some sort of prolific serial killer situation. They took my organs. I do feel like there's something up with that doctor at the airport. The documentary that I saw indicated that the doctor had changed his story several times, changed details. There was no camera in the room or even near the room, so we don't know what happened. The doctor could have told him something that set him off. Doctor could have seen that he was experiencing something and took an advantage of his fragile state. Could have, who knows? Who knows? But, doctors have a significant amount of power over people and influence. And, if they observe something of somebody that's in a fragile state, they could easily manipulate them. We don't know this guy. We don't know his background. I should do a reading on the doctor. Yeah, something's not quite right with that doctor. The victim of medical malpractice. So according to the doc that I saw, Lars only took 3 of those pills, not significant enough to really cause the onset of a serious mental health break, right? But they said that he fell into the age range where this would typically happen if it was an extreme case. So I believe he was a victim of medical malpractice because they said the dosage was too high. So that's malpractice if you're being prescribed something and it's too strong for what is actually needed. So when I questioned, I actually thought this. I didn't even say it out loud. I was wondering if he had, because the documentary talked about, well, he could have survived and blah, blah, blah. He could just be out there wandering. And then this card popped out. It said, yes, I am deceased. I'm dead. I'm brokenhearted. Police, sheriff, and cops were involved. I come around my family and, does that say friends? Living family. Because I know his father passed away shortly before the vacation. Desires, lust, and attraction, that's commonly that comes out with a PDF file. So, and that's another thing with the doctor. When I look at the doctor, I just something about that doctor that's not quite right. I can see him being one of those people that go into these the dark web and they're looking for people, because there was this case of a guy who was looking for somebody that wanted to be cannibalized, and then he matched up with somebody and ate the guy and went to prison. But when I see this guy, there's something's not quite right. I could see him being into some really dark stuff on the side, allegedly. And so when that card came out, I'm like, yeah, he probably ate part of him. You know what I mean? If he was involved in this, if he whispered to Lars and said, hey, I know who you're talking about, but I can keep you safe, but you just have to go there and I'll meet you there later. He could have put something in his mind, met up with him later, and victimized them, or it could be the other thing. He was badly beaten. I think that refers to the situation when he was on, on the trip before the airport situation. I was sexually assaulted, sex crimes, desires, lust, and attraction. I think that's the doctor. I literally think that's the doctor. Tried to take advantage of him in some way. There it is. They took my organs. I feel like I really, I really do feel like when I see this doctor, I feel like he could be a cannibal. He could be a part-time cannibal, major sociopathic, serial killer. I feel like that. But I can't make sense of this female thing. There's a lot of female energy, and that's not his mom. I don't get the impression that that's his mom or his girlfriend who was back in Germany. So this is a part of something, because like I said, when I did this reading a year and a half ago, there was a lot of female energy in it then too, and it was telling the story of once he left the airport, he made his way to a smaller area, some sort of smaller area, and he was taken in by an older female who took care of him, who basically took care of him, got him stable, and he had stayed there voluntarily for a while. That's what I saw, and that's all I saw. So, yeah, I don't know. But here's the reading. Let me know what you think, and I'd like to believe he's still out there, but I did get the coffin card, didn't get the death card and the tarot, but I don't think he lost that much of his mind where he wouldn't have reached out to his mom. I do think he was the victim of foul play. Whether it happened right away, whether that doctor at the airport had something to do with it, whether the doctor back in town that overdrugged him, or not overdrugged him, but, prescribed the medication recklessly they overdosed him, or that whole town could have been complicit. But like when he said that he felt like people were that people were after him, I believed it. I really do believe that was the situation. I'm not doubting that at all. Because, some of those places, especially these smaller areas, a lot of times these people depend, they're very close knit, and a lot of times they depend, like they're really dependent on the tourists and the tourist dollars and things like that. And, they work together. They talk, because that's their industry. Their industry is foreigners. So, if something happened and, they stuck together or they somehow networked to keep an eye on somebody, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it. You just never know. But this one was challenging when I first did it, and then doing it again and getting these details, it's even more confusing. But this is the reading. Thanks for tuning in, and thank you for requesting the reading. We will see you in the next video. Take care.